talk about someone who is alive, well, but in trouble. Sarah Ferguson. Should she be stripped of her Duchess of York title over the emails to Jeffrey Epstein? The ex-wife of Prince Andrew was dropped as the patron of several charities yesterday, including the British Heart Foundation and the Teenage Cancer Trust, after it was alleged she described Epstein as a supreme friend back in 2011. That's almost 3 years after he was jailed for soliciting child prostitution and a month after she pledged never to contact him again. A spokesman said the Duchess had been taken in by Epstein's lies and wrote the email due to his threats after she publicly distanced herself from him. Let's just have a quick look at this sequence, if we can, before we talk about it, because it's a bad one for Fergie, that's for sure. 2008 was the Epstein conviction. After 2008, there's no excuse, because you knew he had been convicted. But still, in February 2011, we see Andrew walking with him in the park, Prince and the Perv. Then in March, a month later, Fergie, realising the heat's on her, says, "I'm so sorry I let a child abuser pay my debt." This was money she got, 15 grand, we think, from Epstein. So she distanced herself from him in this interview. Okay, we've got these the wrong way around, guys. I'm just going to switch these around. Sorry. So this is the interview, March 2011. "I personally, on behalf of myself, deeply regret that Jeffrey Epstein became involved in any way with me. I abhor paedophilia and any sexual abuse of children, and I know this was a gigantic error of judgment. I cannot state more strongly that I know a terrible error of judgment was made." So this is her in the Evening Standard, putting distance between the two of them. But then she writes him a private email from her personal account. "I know, Jeffrey, you feel hellaciously let down by me from what you were either told or read. I must humbly apologise. You've always been a steadfast, generous and supreme friend. I did not use the P word, meaning paedophile, about you, but I understand it was reported that I did." So she basically says, "I'm sorry for what I said." And now we have these headlines, which are horrific for her. That's a summary of it. And what do you think, Charlie? Any way back for her?
No. And nor should there be. You know, those emails display someone who is... I think those emails are grotesque. It's grovelling. It's greedy to try and have your cake and eat it in this fashion where someone has obviously paid your debts, where you're saying something publicly and then doing something completely opposite in private. You know, this is a story that has... dogged the royal family for years, obviously through Prince Andrew's association to Jeffrey Epstein, who's obviously had to take a step back, who's almost sort of been siphoned off from the royal family. He doesn't take part in any royal duties, but he still appears.
He was very visible at the Duchess of Kent's funeral, to the point he took centre stage and basically seemed to be inflating himself.
Sure, and that's him being there, but, you know, it's a relative's funeral. You're not going to punish somebody for that. How he appears and how he behaves in public, I think, certainly I would want to take a step back and I want to be in the shadows, or, you know, I would have thought if I was him, for as long as possible. She's married to, or was married to Prince Andrew, so she's only in the royal family by association of that marriage. And so I'm afraid to bring the royal family into disrepute again on the back of these awful emails and continuing in association with a convicted paedophile, of course she should be dropped. There's no way back.
Before I go to Dawn, a spokesman for the Duchess said Epstein had threatened to sue her for defamation for associating him with paedophilia after the Evening Standard interview. So the email was then sent in the context of advice the Duchess was given to try to assuage Epstein and his threats. Does that wash with you, Dawn?
I call BS on that. Completely, and I agree.
Doesn't sound true, does it?
No, and I agree with Charlie. But also, don't pretend you care about young girls and women and then try and defend this. Let's put the victims at the centre of this. Is it Virginia
Giuffre, yes, yeah.
You know, her who's sadly passed, and her family. And when they talk about justice not being done, this is an insult and a slap in the face to them. So no, and absolutely she should lose her title. And she still lives with Andrew, doesn't she? Prince Andrew. He should lose his title.
Yeah, I think they are. It's almost like they are remarried. It's funny how charities are so reputation sensitive that within the last 12 hours, we've seen 3 or 4 just go, no, you're gone, like that. It started with quite a small charity, and then it was a snowball. it's interesting the royal family doesn't operate like that. It doesn't care so much about its reputation. Howard's in Lincolnshire.
They're not untouchable, right? And
they may find they're just polling or whatever, and they just got to get out of it. But you saying, oh, Andrew has to be at that funeral. He doesn't have to walk right to the front and stand on the steps being filmed next to William.
No, he doesn't.
And if he can't behave, they need to properly restrain him.
Well, there's obviously lots of people around the royal family to organise events like that. So you're absolutely right. He shouldn't have been, but he was obviously there. But you can't stop him.
But he always does it. He always does it at funerals.
Yeah, that's because he's got his privilege, right? That is his centre stage in his privilege. He's taken up space. Look at me. Because he's not being taken to task for all the wrong that he's done. He paid, what was it? Was it 11?
12 million.
12 million? He paid £12 million for something that he says he wasn't involved in and he didn't do. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Howard's in Lincolnshire. Howard, what do you think of Fergie?
Hi, Jeremy. Hi, panel. Without a doubt, her title needs to be stripped from her because otherwise, in my opinion, what kind of double standard does that bring to the table? The fact that Prince Andrew, for his adventures, the grief that he got with all that came about with him, I think for Fergie to not get even an ounce of the same treatment, for me personally, that would be really unfair. And like I just now said, a bit of a double standard.
I think with Andrew, the tricky thing is that he is the late Queen's son. And you can't, blood is thicker than water and there's nothing anyone could do about it. It's rather like Harry. Harry's always going to be the late Queen's grandson. With Sarah Ferguson, it's different. I mean, maybe there is a way. I think she's quite arm's length. But would you want to humiliate her by taking the title away?
I think there still does need to be that level of, I'm going to use the word punishment, but
reckoning.
I think there does, because, at the end of the day, she has associated herself and said and did what she did to the exact same individual that Prince Andrew. Like, I hear what you're saying about being the Queen's son and everything, but I just, it's one of those, she, at the end of the day, she has aligned herself, I think might be the right word, with the same, like I say, the same individual, Jeffrey Epstein, that is, as Prince Andrew. So surely there's got to be something coming her way, surely.
Okay. Thanks, Howard. God, the Epstein story, it's going in all directions. Mandelson gone. Andrew exiled. Trump, the only thing he's sensitive on is this Epstein stuff. Clinton involved. It just goes on and on. After the break, more calls on Fergie. Now, she's in the frame now. She can't excuse these emails. 0207 862 2222. And we'll be joined by a friend of the Duchess, Lizzie Cundy, who's been chatting to her in the last 24 hours. Live on 5 with Dawn and Charlie. And joining us now in the studio is a friend of the show and friend of Sarah Ferguson, Lizzie Cundy. So we know you've been in touch with her in the last 24 hours. How's she feeling?
Well, she's obviously devastated. There is no one more sorry today than Sarah Ferguson. She is, regretful. She wished she never met Jeffrey Epstein, but there were reasons why she sent that email.
Tell us then, yeah.
Well, the fact is, he was enraged that she'd publicly condemned him. He was absolutely beyond saying, I'm going to get revenge, I'm going to ruin your family. It was threatening, it was very dark, and she felt she had no choice but to try and appease him because she was scared for herself, for her family.
He scared her?
Yeah, he was very... I mean, you have to think, Jeremy, he was probably the most powerful man on the planet, one of the richest men. And she was fooled by him, like many others were, like the Clintons, like Peter Mandelson.
It's the issue, I guess, for her, and I know you've spoken to her direct in the last 24 hours, so... the issue for her is that he was at the time a convicted paedophile.
Yeah, look, I'm.
Does she not understand that?
Yeah, look, she does, and it is wrong, and she's very, very sorry. But the fact is, when she did condemn him, which she did publicly, it got very, very nasty. He got huge lawyers onto her as well. She thought she was going to be embarrassing, not just her own family, but the rest of the royal family. And she felt that was the only option she had. She really was back against the wall, Jeremy. And
she thought he was coming for revenge.
Oh gosh, yes. He actually said that. He was going to bring down the York family, and I think she was actually even scared for her own life.
How did the private email then resolve that?
Because she felt that she could calm the situation by trying to
by
appease
saying
him.
sorry?
Well, kind of saying, look, you know, I didn't actually call, you know, I
Call you a paedophile.
I said that, you know, paedophilia is abhorrent. That's what she said in the piece.
Just in terms
and she
of
was
her-
trying to calm him
When you spoke
and
to
stroke
her,
his ego.
Lizzie, when you spoke to her, what sort of state was she in?
No, look, Sarah, I spoke to her personal assistant, who's a great friend.
Oh, she was were you on the phone to Sarah?
Yeah. No, she's obviously in a terrible
Sarah was
way.
next to the assistant,
Yes,
or
yes. She's in a bad way, Jeremy. And
in what sense?
In the fact that she's, you know, this is the last thing she wanted, and she's extremely regretful. It was a giant mistake. It was a giant mistake ever being friends with him in the first place. And I'm afraid he is a toxic person, even from the grave. He's
Did you
toxic.
give her any advice last night?
I just want to say she's a human being and a mother. And
Could you say, like, get out the Duchess thing? Just resign as a Duchess, because then the heat's off.
I think just lay low. Just
lay low.
Lay low, and and just let this die down, because at the minute, everyone, you know, she's on the front page of most of the front papers today.
It's a shocker,
Jeremy,
isn't it?
and it is a shock. But he was so aggressive, so unpleasant, and I think if anyone, you thought your family could get hurt and bring your own family down, what
Charlie?
would you do?
Well, on a human level, I can try and understand if you are in the public eye, if you've got your husband has an association with Jeffrey Epstein, and if you're trying to take the heat off and all the rest of it, I can understand she might have been in a difficult position. But her biggest mistake was not to write to him to apologise for what she said. Her biggest mistake, she should have written to him to say, I don't care what you think. I don't care what lawyers you think you can sort of bring down on us. You are a convicted paedophile. You have brought this royal family, into disrepute. It is your problem, not mine. And I'm very sorry to say to you, Jeffrey, thank you very much for all the money that we've had in the past. I no longer want any contact or association with you. You should be in prison, as you have been convicted. And that is the end of the conversation. Bring on your lawyers. And she should have mounted the defence of the innocent victims that obviously we knew, and she would have known, that have been at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein.
But Charlie, if you're in that position, you think your own family could be threatened. I think she just was thinking, I've got to do the right thing
Well, they would have been
for
threatened
them,
because of Prince Andrew's
which I agree,
association.
and I
If her
agree.
family
It's a
didn't-
mistake.
Prince Andrew
It's a
didn't have
mistake.
anything to do with a paedophile and wasn't involved in the stuff that he was involved in, then there wouldn't have been a threat to the family. The people whose lives have been ruined are those young girls.
Exactly.
Those young girls whose lives have been ruined forever. Those is where our compassion should
I
be.
agree. And Dawn, and I think Sarah's people have put an email to the show to say that her thoughts are with the victims. But
when she got threatened by all these lawyers, did she take any legal advice?
Well, yes, she did.
Well, because the lawyers would have said he's not got a chance in hell of suing you because he's a convict.
But I think she thought of the thought of going to court, the ramifications of that with the royal family, and then also her publicist got threats as well, who tried to.
Right. Well, he's still powerful,
And you have to remember this guy. I mean, he's a vile, disgusting man. And
can you just assure me of one thing? The suspicion will be the reason Fergie apologised was nothing to do with the lawyers. It's because she wanted more money out of him.
Well, as far as I have been told, Jeremy, that's not the case.
Okay.
She was really concerned for her family and he wanted revenge.
OK, Alex is in London. Hi, Alex. What do you think of what Lizzie said there?
Hi there. Well, I'll be upfront, as I was with your researcher. I'm a member of the Republic campaign that seeks to replace the royal family with an elected head of state. So I disagree with her. And my general point is that if people have a problem with the entire episode here, with Andrew and with Fergie and what have you, you can either have a royal family or you can have a society that believes in accountability from top to bottom. You can't have an institution where the very head of it is literally above the law.
Well, you've got that in the States, arguably, haven't you?
Well, indeed, and obviously there's a massive fuss when Trump wanted presidential immunity extended.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying that it's not a simple answer, is it? Because you've got in the States exactly what you're describing in reverse.
Yes, and surely we all agree it's a bad thing.
Well, I thought you were arguing for it.
No, I'm arguing that you should not have a head of state that's above the law. It is obviously a very recent advent in America that caused a huge fuss.
What do you think of the Fergie thing? You probably want the whole thing shut down, but do you think it would help the royal family, Alex, if she surrendered her Duchess title?
I mean, I can understand why they'd want to disassociate themselves from her. I mean, my bottom line is titles gained by birth or marriage are they're not achievements, they're not qualifications, they're just sort of feudal nonsense.
OK, Alex, thank you. I do wonder whether we're going to be at a tipping point with the royal family here, because I know Fergie's semi-detached, but actually she's sort of in the crowd of royals. And this is bad.
Yeah, totally. And that's why when you are in that position of power and privilege, and she's in the public eye, and she's obviously, she's the patron of, or was the patron of these three charities, she was someone that was... people would have liked and wanted to get to know and would have been fascinated about
Lizzie,
her life. And she had a career. But
is she upset about losing the charities?
She's not without previous scandal, is she?
Did she talk about the charities?
Yeah, Sarah's absolutely devastated with losing the charities. I think there's 7 charities now that have left her, especially the cancer one, because herself had a diagnosis with cancer recently, who have dropped her. And yeah, she's absolutely devastated, and I just want to look. She's a human being. She's a mother, and she's going through hell. And I'm sorry, our thoughts are with the victims, as you said, and she wishes she'd never ever met Jeffrey Epstein.
So why doesn't she sort of, in that sense, if she's hugely regretful? I think it's Jeremy's question. Why don't you just resign the title? And move the story on and say it was a huge error of judgment. I can only apologise again, and I'm stepping down as the Duchess of York.
Well, I think I think we've got to. She needs to, lay low, reflect on all of this. She's, she's full of regret. She's full of remorse.
To be honest,
I just think if anyone that knew Jeffrey Epstein, what sort of he was a con man. He was the most, he lured so many people and from the Clintons to many powerful people.
I think you're a great friend for even coming and trying to defend
I'm
her.
just trying to explain the reasoning for the email.
But at the end of the day, I think it also shows a problem with wealth and privilege and people who think that they are above the law. And I agree, she should just be magnanimous and say, right, I stepped down. She shouldn't lay low. Because all that does is say that I'm trying to hold on.
She's living with
to
Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is an associate of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
So surely there's a bit of something has to go on there, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is lay low. I mean, like you said, you weren't happy. Many people weren't happy seeing him at the funeral. And even trying to talk to Prince William. And it's like just step back.
Yeah.
And I think it's for the
best. All
right,
Shirley in Hampshire. Hi. Hey, Shirley. No, Shirley. Colin in Cheshire. Hi. No, Colin. Naomi in London. Hi.
Yeah, hi. Good
well
morning.
Done. 3 in a row. Brilliant.
Yes, I think she should be stripped of her title because she's not a working royal. Her daughter is, but she isn't. And she's not the Queen's daughter or son. And she makes her money on the back of royalty, even though she's not royal herself.
She's got a certain amount of fame. I was at a publisher's party last year, and there were about 200 people there, and everyone was going, "That's Fergie."
Yeah.
So she's got a certain... Now, it might be bad fame, I don't know.
What do you remember? You remember, the toe sucking? That was one, wasn't it?
Yeah, Johnny Bryan.
But that's the thing, right? That's what you remember.
I've got to say though, it's she's been through the mill. I mean, I know it's a lot of her own doing, but if anyone else has problems or dramas, they're not always on the front pages of the paper. Yeah. And she, she had the Duchess of Pork. She had all of the name calling. She was always compared to Diana with her weight and how she dressed.
And Andrew, by all accounts, was unfaithful.
And she's got very low self-esteem. Yeah. When you meet her, she's not what you think.
I have met her.
Yeah.
And But that it doesn't matter. It really, all of that doesn't matter.
No,
like
I know.
It doesn't matter because she sent a letter of apology to a convicted paedophile apologising.
Yes.
So, Naomi, thank you for your call. We hope to speak to some more listeners, viewers, after the ads. But the question is this: should Fergie lose the Duchess title? Should she just surrender it today? Because that will show the remorse. More of your calls on whether Fergie should have her Duchess of York title stripped away over her emails to Jeffrey Epstein. 0207 862 2222. Oh, good. We got Shirley back in Hampshire. Hi, Shirley.
Hello. I just wanted to point out one thing.
Yeah.
You know, I was taken in by Jimmy Savile, Michael Jackson and Gary Glitter, right? If their records are still being played on the radio, does the same rule apply?
Well, hang on, Well, they're not really. They're all different, aren't they? Glitter's records I haven't heard on the radio for a long time. Michael Jackson's will still be played occasionally, and Jimmy Savile didn't make any, thankfully. I don't know. What's the point of the comparison, Shirley? Help me.
Double standards.
Oh, I see. But I don't know. I mean, Glitter's been jailed, exiled. Savile's dead. Jackson is dead, and we're not sure what happened with Michael Jackson. Do you think it's a double standard?
Yeah, I do, because especially if now the details are coming out that she was being blackmailed as well.
Well, that's what she says, yeah.
I mean,
Lizzie's done a sterling job as her friend, I must say. Well, you know, I hope you'll help all of us if we're in trouble.
Of course I will. Jeremy, I will always be there for you.
All right.
Even in that shirt.
It's amazing, yeah. I hope you get... Have you had a message from her since she appeared on the air?
No, look, she's just in a bad way, OK?
She's messaged you.
And I just want people to know, look, she's made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
It's a gigantic error, and she's got to live with that. And no one's more sorry than her today.
It's funny how people only apologise when they get found out.
Sorry you got caught.
Don't worry, you don't have to answer that.
Yeah.
Carol in Greater Manchester. What do you make of Lizzie's great defence here of Sarah Ferguson?
Well, to be quite honest, I can't believe that she's supporting her. I can't believe that she's supporting her and using the TV as a platform to do that.
Well, we did invite her on. I don't.
Yeah.
You know,
I've been asked to just respond to why Sarah wrote the email. I'm not saying I support. I'm just saying the reasoning why she wrote that email.
Carol, what about her? She was scared because Epstein came at her.
Well, she can say anything now. He's not here, can't she? And I don't believe that for 1 minute. You know, I think Lizzie said that she wrote the email because he was the most powerful man there was, and that he was going to bring the royal family down. So what my thoughts on that is, you know, the royal family are a very powerful organisation as well. So, you know, to bring them down would be quite difficult unless he had lots and lots of supporting evidence about the allegations.
All right, thanks, Carol. Pippa in Cambridgeshire, what do you think of it? What do you think of Sarah Ferguson's position?
Well, to be honest, I think the country here now is just quite two-faced, to be honest, and full of double standards. And, you know, I mean, you know, we're throwing stones while we're actually in a glass house.
So you, rather like Shirley, you think we're operating different standards for different people?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, Fergie did what she felt she needed to do to protect the family and herself. And we as a nation last week did what we had to do to protect the country because we need America. And, you know, I don't, you know, yes, there were protesters, but then, you know, regardless of that, we still went ahead with Trump being here. And in the not too distant future, we're going to hear how bad Trump is.
There are going to be some great books written after he's gone. Oh, my goodness. We can't even imagine it. Thank you, Pippa. Louisa in West Sussex, do you have sympathy with Sarah Ferguson now you've heard from Lizzie?
No, I don't. The only thing I can say is both she and Andrew are a constant embarrassment to the royal family. She's only sorry and embarrassed because this has come to light. She's only used her association for the royal family for her own gain, and both financially and recognition. Everyone's tired tired of both of them. They should both go, lose their titles.
But would you have been able to say to Andrew, look, I'm sorry, you can't, because you can't seem to behave at funerals, we can't let you go to the Duchess of Kent's funeral? Because that is, in the end, a family member.
Yeah, I wonder when was the last time he went to see the Duchess of Kent and how well he actually knew her. And quite frankly, he could have gone the back door. He made himself very, very present at that funeral. He's a bumbling oaf.
Thank you, Louisa. Michelle in Nottinghamshire, are you sympathetic with Sarah Ferguson?
I am, because at the end of the day, this title was given to her by our late Queen. And when Sarah actually got divorced, it was part of the legalities. So are we saying that we should ignore our legal system when that's been given to her in divorce?
Well, I think Andrew pressed the Queen to give him, her and their daughters public protection for life, which is incredibly expensive. And by the way, Anne's children, Zara Phillips and the other one, live a normal life without it. Anyway, we'll see. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I hope she texts you at least.
Yeah, she will. And thank you. Look, and I think it was important just to know the reasoning of that.
Yeah, she was
why
panicking.
Why she sent that email, yeah.
OK. Vanessa's going to carry on taking your calls on this important subject a little later. She'll be asking...